Check out this epic toolbox I just made from scratch. Come along on my guided tour and I'll show you all of its features and even how you can make one of your own. It's finished with a blue stain and even features its own custom mood lighting, so let's jump right in. This box is made out of a 1x10 pine board and some 3/8 inch plywood. I customized mine with spots for over 25 different tools, and I'm confident you can do that as well. So let's do a quick tour on mine and then I'll show you how to build your own. Starting on the exterior, it's finished with blue stain and I have 3 sections of piano hinge to hold the lid on. And on both sides are these toolbox handles I found at the hardware store. On the front I have a latch and some drawer pull hardware for lifting the lid. Opening the lid is smooth and effortless, and that's all thanks to this gas-powered strut. It serves a second purpose of keeping the lid open, and it has a soft close feature as well. Taking a look at the inside of the lid, you'll see some screwdrivers and a couple of saws. My screwdrivers are Phillips and flathead and are in a variety of different sizes and lengths. To mount them to the lid, I drilled some holes in some 1x scrap, and they slide in and friction holds them just fine. Now for my drywall saw, I drove a nail through the lid and bent it to shape to act as a latch. Now there's a second nail that the handle goes under, and this keeps it from falling out. And for my coping saw, it's the same system. The latch holds it at the bottom and the handle's friction fit from the nail driven through the side of the lid. Everything in the lid's nice and secure and nothing's fallen out on me so far. Now we can move to the main section of the box, and this is where everything else is at, starting with my custom wood chisel deck. Each section is measured to the specific length for the wood chisel that goes in it. And this deck also gives us a raised flat surface to mount our LED mood lighting to, but more on that in a minute. Now I drilled some holes in some 1x4, and these accommodate my drill bits, 3/8 all the way up to 1 inch. I also drilled some holes for this countersink bit and a couple different sized nail sets. Now in the front of my box I have some more saws. For this I nailed a piece of plywood a little over 1 inch from the front of my box, and this gives me just enough room to fit a hacksaw as well as my Stanley Sharptooth. Fitting them in is a simple matter of organizing. My handsaw goes in first, and if I flip my hacksaw upside down it fits between the blade of my handsaw and the front of my box like so. Now I cut a groove in some 1x scrap for one of my other smaller handsaws, and that's just to protect the blade and make sure the saw doesn't go anywhere. Also out of some 1x scrap I framed in these little boxes for my planes, both my sheetrock surfform as well as my block plane. The frames hold them both in place and make sure they don't move anywhere when the box is being transported. I also made this piece out of some 1x, and it's got a slot to hold my sheetrock jab saw. And the top part of this holds a 2500 mAh power bank. This power bank hooks up to the LED mood lighting, but you could also charge your phone off of it if you wanted to. As I mentioned earlier, the lights mount to the bottom of our chisel deck, and the best part is they come with their own remote control, so there's no lack in color options. These are the same type of LEDs you put in your room, and I found them in 6.5 foot sections in Walmart for around $5. And I think they complement the build quite nicely. Now you know how mine looks, let me show you how to build your own. Start out by cutting a section of 1x10 31.5 inches long, and then go ahead and cut another one just like it. We'll need 2 more sections for the ends, and these are 10.25 inches long. Keep in mind these are my measurements, and you can build your box whatever size you want. Okay, now make a 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch rabbet in the end of the long 1x10, and then flip it over and do it to the other side as well. Once you put a rabbet in both ends of the 1x10, then you can do the same thing to the other one so they look alike. With that done, we can start building our frame. I evenly spaced and started all my nails, and that's just to make the process a little bit easier. And I'm using 8-penny nails around 1.5 inches long. Okay, now grab one of the end pieces and put it in the rabbet we made earlier, and don't forget to use glue. And once both ends are flush, you can nail it in place. Once it's nailed in, repeat the process on the other side with the other end piece. Okay, great. Now we can flip it over and add the other side. And remember to use glue and flush up your edges before nailing it down. Now that our frame's finished, let's add a top and a bottom. Take a measurement for how wide and long your box is, and then cut a piece of 3/8 plywood to those dimensions. With our plywood cut, we can now nail it in place, but don't use nails that are longer than 1 inch, and you'll see why that's important in a minute. I went ahead and did this to the other side as well, so now we can move on to cutting off our lid. And we can cut about 2 inches off the top of our box, and this will make our lid. Now I used a table saw because I had one, but a skill saw or a hand saw would work just as well. Okay, perfect. Now that we have our lid cut off, we can add some piano hinge to the back. I used 3 different sections of hinge, but feel free to use how many ever you want. And there's our basic toolbox. Now you can add some latches to the front, and then it makes everything complete. Now these boxes can be customized to fit just about any storage needs you have. So I encourage you to be creative when you design your own. And I'd like to see you guys' builds, so take a picture and tag me on Instagram at _therogueworkshop. That's it for this video. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing as well. And for those wondering, I'm still prototyping my version 2 mortar, so hopefully I'll have a video on that soon. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the build, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next one.